After watching Records of Ragnarok, I can positively say that Netflix has done it yet again, in disappointing us with an adaptation. But what are the reasons that this anime failed? Well, in my opinion, there are 3 specific reasons for that, so let's just jump right into it. Let's start with the obvious reason, the one that almost everyone can agree on: animation. We get these full panels where there is basically no movement, just dialogue being thrown at us, and I remember someone posting a comment about this on Twitter, and I feel that it perfectly depicts how we all felt about it. This was basically a PowerPoint presentation. It's like the in-betweeners were fired midway and the director just decided to go on with it like it wasn't his business. And while I can appreciate that the main fighters almost had no CGI, the moments that we had it, mostly the Lubu army, it just felt so jarring to watch. I would have just cut that part rather than have it to just diminish the quality of the work. And what made me feel even more disappointing was that there were some moments, specifically in the Zeus vs Adam and Sasaki vs Poseidon fights, where you can see some fluid and high quality fighting scenes. But those were too few and far in between, so we end up with this slideshow of an episode where mostly it's just a stirring contest. I mean, just look at this. What I have shown you so far are not still images, they are the actual animation of the show. Completely unacceptable. Let's just move on to the next topic. I'm sure you have heard of Records of Ragnarok before. If you have ever read a manga in any website, you must have seen it somewhere on the top of the charts of best chapter of the week. And a high amount of anime YouTubers have had their take on it. How good it was, the god-tier drawings, the perfect shonen story full of fighting with no downtime, just going straight to the action. So it's no lie to say that most of us had a really high expectations coming into it. We were all expecting a Dragon Ball martial arts tournament, but instead we got a really mediocre adaptation that didn't stand out at all. And to be honest, I think this overhype was what damaged the anime the most, as I think that if we had come with no expectations, basically never hearing about it before at first watch, you would think that it was fine. Nothing great, but good enough to stand out in a normal anime season. But coming with these preconceived expectations on how the anime should look and how to adapt the source material was its downfall, as no one was happy with the ending result. Reading some comments on Twitter, I saw how people were specifically disappointed with the Zeus vs Adam fight, as most thought that it was supposed to be the highlight of the season, with a really compelling story and the best fight scenes of the 3 fights. And to me, this fight did look the best out of the 3, but it didn't stand out as much as people were hoping for, which comes to show that the higher the expectations, the greater the disappointment when you don't reach them. There is a saying in the anime community: everyone and their mother have a backstory. And this is something that most shonen animes fail to understand, that it is better to show rather than tell. And some moments of Records of Ragnarok did hit the mark, like showing Adam's ability to copy all of Zeus' attacks rather than giving us a long backstory. They just briefly explain it and let you experience it firsthand by showing his size and recreating the attacks in a seamless way. But when you need to stop the fight just to tell us why the character is a badass and he can kill anything with a one-shot, that is when you lose me. I mean, who has never heard of Thor, Zeus and Poseidon? They are one of the best known gods in history. I don't need you explaining me how Thor used his hammer to defeat some giants or how Zeus defeated his dad to become the ruler of gods. And especially when you take 80% of the episodes just to tell that story, you're losing an audience that came for the advertised epic one-on-one manga, not for a class on history. Which lays the second problem of these stories. All these characters already have interesting stories. There is a reason why they have lasted up to this age. So it feels completely unnecessary to create your own version of it just to show how OP this guy is or the reasoning behind their actions. Everyone knows the story of Adam and Eve, so why you need to change it so that the gods framed Eve and Adam came to rescue her? You could instead have focused on him eating the apple to acquire the powers or something. And did you really need to create a fake god just to show how cool Poseidon is and how he's so powerful that he killed a god in one hit? When instead you could focus on the real depiction of him on how he can control earthquakes and volcanoes or his power over water. These really long and unnecessary backstories just help disconnect the viewer from the fights and did not bring that much to the whole story, when all we wanted was to see two guys fighting to death. At this point you can really compress all the good fighting scenes into a single episode, and I would have preferred that 100 times rather than watching 11 episodes of useless backstory. At least they could have gave the backstories before the fight rather than interrupting the flow of the fight. Well, overall the anime is not that bad. I had some good moments watching it, but all these annoying things that diminish the story lower its quality, and topped with the overhyping it, made the people in the social media turn against it. As it stands, I'm hoping that we get a better adaptation and a flow for the second season, as I believe that Records of Ragnarok has an interesting premise that if developed correctly could become a hit. So what did you guys thought of this anime? How would you rate it? Let me know in the comments below. See you guys next time.